Hi there. So you think you want a lab. Labs are really great dogs, but they're not for every family. And we're going to talk a little bit about whether or not a lab is the right thing for your family. So this is Murphy. He is a Dudley Lab, a yellow Dudley Lab. And let me first say I'm not a dog behavioralist. I'm not a vet. I'm just a dog enthusiast and the owner of a Labrador Retriever. And we've had 4 labs in our family over the years. Very different, all of them. We've had all females until we got Murphy. He's a male. And so we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of having a Labrador Retriever. Murphy is a great dog. He's a character, though. You can see this is his little toy lamb chop. He's already started to tear her apart. He's had her about a week. So let's get a little bit more into what a lab is, whether or not it would be the right fit for your family. So here we go.
So let's first talk about the bad and the ugly, and then we'll get into the really good parts about having a lab. Because labs really aren't for every family. Labs have some issues that may be difficult for people to deal with. The first is that a lab has a double coat. So that means that there's a lot of shedding all year long. Now we've had 4 labs. We had one lab that shed a lot all the time. Murphy, the dog we have now that you saw, he is not a prolific shedder. He does shed a little bit all year long, but he sheds a couple times, maybe twice a year where he sheds a lot. He's shedding that double coat. But for the most part, he doesn't. So you have to be aware of the fact that you could end up with a lab that does a lot of shedding, sometimes not. So it just depends. Grooming of a lab. So associated with that shedding and that double coat is grooming. So if you've got one that's got more of a double coat and that does shed more, you might want to do more grooming. With us, we probably give Murphy a bath maybe once a month or once every other month, unless he gets in the mud. Murphy can find a mud puddle anywhere in the world. If you're in the park and the park is completely dry, but there is one mud puddle, Murphy will find it. And he loves to roll in it and just take a little mud bath. And then he has to come home and take another bath. Drooling. We've had 3 female labs and this one male lab, Murphy. And he has those jowls. And he does a lot of drooling. We didn't have any drooling with our other labs with our females, but with this male lab, he does drool. So if he's waiting for his dinner, he may drool, or he sees somebody else eating, and he may drool. And it's kind of gross, but we've gotten used to it. Another thing you need to know about a lab is labs are big. They can be anywhere between 50 pounds and 80 pounds, a normal lab. Females a little bit on the lower weight size, although we did have one really large female lab, and males are on the higher side. So they're supposed to max out at 80 pounds, but Murphy is 105. So you could get a really big lab. When we got him as a puppy, he had very big paws, and that's usually an indication that you're going to have a big dog. And they forget about their size. So if you have a lab, it's not unusual for them to want to get on you. Murphy's so big that he usually is laying his head on me. Sometimes he lays his head on my shoulder. If we're in the car, he's almost always sleeping with his head on my lap. So they're very large, and they forget about their size. They think they're little. And because of that, sometimes labs are better with older children rather than younger children. Although when we got our first lab, her name was Josie. She was a large lab, and our daughter was 4, and she did fine with her. I know occasionally she would knock her down, but for the most part, she became very aware of our daughter's size and was very good with her. Another one issue that you might call bad for a lab is kisses. If you do not like to be licked by a dog, if you're a Lucy, that's Oh, yuck, dog germs, dog germs. If you're like that, you're not gonna like a lab. Labs love their humans. And the way they show you is through their licks or through their kisses. Murphy will give you a kiss all over your face. He'll lick your arms, your legs, you name it, he's gonna do it. He's just showing his affection for you. He even licks his sister, who is a Shepsky dog, and he loves her too, and he licks her too. The ugly about a lab. So there are some ugly elements of a lab. We know that labs love to chew. Now with Murphy, we've trained him since we had him as a puppy to chew only his toys and also his treats. He gets those long sticks, he'll chew that whole thing for hours. But in the past, we had a lab named Molly. She was a great black lab. We got her as a rescue though. And she had some bad habits, and she used to get into the garbage and chew it up. She one time chewed up someone's cell phone. She chewed up somebody's very expensive purse once. We did eventually break her of that habit, but that was pretty bad when she did that. Labs are known to sometimes have excessive barking. We have had the 4 labs. We've never had a lab that barked excessively, but I know that that is a trait that some labs do carry. Murphy will bark if he is being protective or if he is scared. Bella often barks if there's a delivery, and Murphy might bark at that as well. Not for a long period of time. And I think it's good because that barking is normal and it is a protective measure, and his bark is very deep, and I'm sure scares people off. Another thing that sometimes happens, so we had a lab, Jackie. We got her when she was a teenager, so she was not fully grown. She was not a year old yet, but she had this tendency to jump. She did a lot of jumping straight up, but she also jumped over the fence, and that was really scary because we didn't know where she was. She was just gone. She had jumped the fence. So some labs do a lot of jumping. Murphy doesn't jump at all. He might jump up onto like a counter, not onto it, but just with his front legs. But he doesn't jump at people, but some labs really do. And then the last that's really ugly is the pulling on the leash. So when you get a lab, if you get a lab, a full-grown lab, they may be trained out of it. You may not have a problem. If you get a puppy, you're going to have to train them not to pull because they have a tendency to want to pull. It's common because they're very excitable dogs and they're very curious and they want to see what's around. So when you go out for a walk, they want to see what's there. Murphy, he has a prey tendency. He's got that prey drive. And so he wants to see something. If he runs into a bunny or sees a bunny when you're on a walk, even to this day at 2 years old, he's kind of like Elmer Fudd. He's like, which way did it go? He wants to find that bunny. So you do have to train for that, train that out of your lab. Let's talk about the good. There's so much good with a lab. Labs are very trainable. They're quite smart. In fact, they're very intelligent and they love to please. So that's a great combination, intelligence and pleasing. So training is relatively easy for a lab. They also are great family dogs. They, as I said before, older kids might be better just because some labs' size is so huge. They're also really good with other dogs. And we've even trained Murphy, despite having his predatory trait. He now likes our cat. So we got a cat recently, and we've been able to train him to be good around the cat. Labs, they just love everyone. So when you have somebody come into your house, they normally love them pretty much right away. So they're considered kind of medium as far as behaviorally as a watchdog, just simply because they trust everyone. If somebody's nice to them, they trust them, they love them almost immediately. We had Molly, and she was in the backyard, and we had left just for a short period of time, and she was in the backyard while we were gone, somebody came in and stole the kids' bikes, so 3 bikes. Molly was in the backyard for sure. They must have been nice to her. She just said, hey, go ahead, take those bikes. So not necessarily always the best watchdog, but they can be. And as I said, Murphy's got a very deep voice, and so he barks if you were on the other side of a gate, or if you were on the other side of a door, you would be afraid, because he's a big dog. They're very playful. Murphy loves to jump in the pool. We throw his pool toys in the pool. He'll take them out, bring them right back so that he can get back and jump in the pool. He will play with a ball anywhere. He'll play with a toy. He loves to play hide and seek. If we put something in one of those toys where you hide the treats, he loves that because he can use his mental capacity for it. He loves to play tug of war. He just is a very playful, really fun dog. They're very adaptable, as I said. Murphy adapted to Ozzy, who's our new cat. He had that prey instinct initially with Ozzy when he was a little kitten, but over time he learned to accept Ozzy into the family. So he's really great that way. As I said, mental stimulation is high, so they like to learn new tricks. So teaching them to lay down, to sit, all those kind of things, very easy to do with a lab. Shake. They're intelligent. They like to be stimulated. They like playing games. Like I said, he loves hide and seek. I think the one thing that I love the most about a lab is their sweet nature. Labs are unbelievably loyal and sweet. Murphy follows me all around the house all day long. If I go upstairs, he goes upstairs. If I come downstairs, he comes downstairs. If I'm upset, he knows that I'm upset and he gives me love. He's very caring. And he's the same with everybody in the family, and also with his sister Bella. So when she is upset, the little Shepsky, he will sit with her and try to comfort her. It is so sweet. He'll lick her face. Labs make great service dogs. That's because of their kind nature and their intelligence, and they're very easily trained. So great working dogs. You will find that labs do therapy work. They do search and rescue with police departments, bomb and drug detection. I remember going to Disneyland several months ago and seeing a lab as a service dog at the entry to Disneyland where they did the screening. So labs are very good that way, very good working dogs. And I consider Murphy to be a bit of an emotional support dog. He's an emotional support dog for Bella, our little Shepsky. We got him primarily to help her because she has a lot of anxiety. And since we've gotten Murphy, she has become a lot calmer. We were able to get her off of Prozac, which she was on prior to that. And she just calms down when she's around him. The last time I went to the vet without Murphy, when I took Bella in, the vet asked me, please don't bring Bella in anymore unless Murphy is with her, because Murphy settles her down so much. So we bring Murphy with Bella most places that we go because he's just such a calming influence on her. So that's basically everything you need to know about the good, the bad, and the ugly of a lab. On this channel, we'll be doing more about Labrador Retriever breeds, Shepskys, and other general dog issues. So I hope you will consider subscribing, sharing, liking, and commenting on this video. We would love to see you again at Positively Zen. So thanks so much for staying till the end. Namaste.